From the Opubco Studios in Oklahoma City, you're watching the Press Row. Press Row is brought to you by Cox High-Speed Internet. I'm Jenny Carlson here with Barry Trammell, and it's time for our weekly inbox segment where we take your emails and answer your questions. You can email us, and we might use your question next week on the inbox. First inbox question this week, Barry, comes from Tracy. Tracy asks, why doesn't Oklahoma recruit quarterbacks like Robert Griffin III? I'm not saying that OU should exclusively recruit and play dual-threat quarterbacks, but recruit both and play the best guy. What do you think about that?
I think it's a fabulous idea, and it would solve the OU quarterback problem because the Sooners have stunk so bad at the position over the last decade. I mean, for crying out loud, 2 Heisman Trophy winners, a Heisman runner-up, and a guy that's in the Heisman discussion this year. What is Bob Stoops thinking playing guys like that?
Clearly, he has no idea what's going on.
I don't get it. I just don't get it. I love Robert Griffin. I love dual-threat quarterbacks. But I love championship football too, and this is working for Bob Stoops. The stationary quarterback who just sits back and slings it works.
They had a dual threat guy, you might remember him, folks, Rhett Bomar. He was the dual threat quarterback that I think a lot of people wanted to see Oklahoma have. Got into trouble. We never got to see how he might develop as a really good Division I quarterback. But Barry, you're right. I mean, anybody that thinks Oklahoma doesn't know what it's doing recruiting quarterbacks is a little bit delusional. And Blake Bell is the next guy for the Sooners, it looks like to me, and I think he's going to be fantastic.
Well, and here's the thing. I mean, Stoops has adjusted. You know, they couldn't make a first down on short yardage, but they've adjusted and they take Landry Jones off the field, put in the bell bone. So, no, you just can't. Bob Stoops has a system, he's got a philosophy, and it's working famously.
Yeah.
You don't go messing with success.
Definitely not. All right, back to the inbox. This question comes from Gary. Gary asks, it seems that Sam Bradford has taken a step backward this season. I know the Rams lack talent on offense, but Sam plays without any confidence. Do you think he can turn it around?
I don't agree with the premise. I don't think he's taken a big step backward this year. I just think the Rams aren't very good. They weren't very good last year. They won some games they could have lost. This year they've lost some games they could have won. It's not a good franchise right now. It's not loaded with talent. The offense stinks. Beyond Steven Jackson, I think Sam Bradford is still a young quarterback, learning how to play. I think he's going to be fine.
I think everything that we saw last year out of Bradford and the Rams was kind of a surprise, kind of a little bit of icing on the cake, because I don't think they were really expecting much out of him. And as you'll remember, he wasn't necessarily the guy going into the year, Barry. And so the fact that he went in there, performed pretty well, I think it's just going to take time. They've got to get some more weapons, though, Barry. Come on. Just offensively, not very good around Sam Bradford.
Well, and the line doesn't protect him well. I mean, it's just a bad offense. So nobody knows right now. Nobody knows what kind of quarterback Sam Bradford is, much less going to be.
All right, back to the inbox. Leonard asked this question. Barry, he says, how do you rank the Penn State issue as far as the history of NCAA scandals go? By the way, I wouldn't call it an issue. I'd call it issues. But that being said, what do you think about that?
Number one. I think it's number one. I don't think anything's really close.
Is anything in sport close to this?
I don't think so. You know, if you want to make the Baylor basketball, because that involved a person's death.
Right.
Now, the scandal at Baylor happened after the death. It's sort of the cover-up and the accusation. But I mean, this is the destruction of lives, and this is just the most vile. This is evil. This is evil. This makes Harvey Updike, the guy that poisoned the tree at Auburn. I mean, he just seems like a good old boy compared to Penn State. I mean, we can quit worrying about Ohio State's tattoos and Reggie Bush's condo and all that stuff. Everything looks rosy compared to Penn State.
Well, but Gary Pinkel, the Missouri coach, gets arrested for DWI, and I read that and I thought, that's not good, but it's not Penn State. Everything is going to be judged from here on out. Nevin Shapiro, the Miami booster, paying guys and taking them to bars and taking them out in the harbor. I mean, that was our big scandal before, Barry. Now it's like, that doesn't seem nearly as bad as it did even 3 months ago.
At least they're not protecting child molesters.
That's correct. All right, back to the inbox. Paul asked this question. Did not OU get hammered by Kansas State in the Big 12 championship game and still get into the title game? If OSU loses to OU in Bedlam, would not their loss be multiple times better than OU's loss to Texas Tech? Does road victories at Texas, Missouri, Texas A&M, Texas Tech, and even Tulsa mean anything?
The answer is no, not when you lose the last game of the year. This is not 2003.
Yeah.
He's right. K-State beat OU, and OU still got there.
Beat them bad, Barry.
Beat them bad, and guess what? They changed the entire BCS system to where it became much more simple, much more easy to drop a team and knock them out. Nobody's losing their last game and jumping back into the title game. It's not happening now because the polls always penalize a team that lost, and the polls have a much bigger impact on the BCS today.
Yeah, and as you'll remember, when Oklahoma did get in that year after losing to K-State, there was much wailing and gnashing of teeth. So a lot of people didn't think it was right at all that Oklahoma got in. And now it really does come down to timing, and that right or wrong or otherwise, that's the system. We've talked, Barry, both of us, about flaws in the BCS. There are lots of them, but this is one. And it looks at losses differently, but it looks at them differently in terms of time, not in terms of quality of who you lose to.
Yeah. If OSU would lose to Bedlam in early November, maybe.
Yeah.
But
not December
3rd, when people's voting on, 1 hour later, no chance.
No. Hey, thanks for joining us on the Press Row, and be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.